Alright, so we got the S25 Plus versus the S23 Plus here. Samsung is giving $600 for the S23 Plus. I think this is going to be a tough sell for sure here. And the immediate thing I noticed with the hardware difference between these two phones is actually the weight. The S23 Plus coming in at 196 grams, and then this is coming in at 190. And you kind of immediately notice a difference of these two phones, the weight. And the S25 Plus is going to be a little bit taller because it is a bigger display. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you got these new, bigger, kind of thicker camera rings here. But besides that, they both have that matte finish. They're both IP68 dust and water resistant. Something also that you'll notice is that you have more of a flat side, and this is a kind of like a matte finish on these sides here versus kind of like the glossy finish. You can kind of see smudges a lot more. Besides that, I mean, that's basically it for the hardware. They are very identical in terms of how they feel in the hand, but I think the weight kind of popped out to me the most. So let's talk about the screen upgrade here. It is also a very minimal screen upgrade. So the S23 Plus has a 6.6-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It is 120 Hz HDR10 Plus. This one has 1750 nits. It's 1080p 393 for the PPI. And it still has pretty, respectable bezels. The bezels are a little bit thinner on the S25 for sure, but it's not like super noticeable. And yeah, it's a really good display color-wise. But the upgrade here with the S25 Plus is that it's slightly bigger at 6.7 inches, and it's now a dynamic LTPO display, which is going to help with battery life. It is an AMOLED 120 Hz display, HDR10 Plus. 2600 nits peak brightness. It is a 1440p panel, and it's 513 for the PPI. Again, I'm going to let you guys know right now, do not upgrade because of the display, because even though it's 1440p, you cannot tell the difference. Even if I loaded up 1440p content and I was watching videos, I watch a ton of videos side by side, you cannot notice the difference in the display quality. Doing anything, whether it's playing games or watching movies or whatever, they look exactly the same. The only thing that really stands out with this upgrade is the max brightness, and the LTPO will help with battery life, but we'll talk about that also. But this is not like a worthy screen upgrade because we're at 1440p. It just, they look exactly the same. As far as your Geekbench scores here, you guys could see the difference here in the processors. We have the Snapdragon 8 Elite versus the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, 256 gigs and 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs and 8 gigs of RAM on the base model. You guys can see the difference in performance here. So for general performance, like people just doing regular stuff, watching videos, scrolling through apps, if you just care about your animation staying steady and stuff like that, the S23 Plus is perfectly fine. This is not a laggy phone at all. You guys see the difference, 36 frames versus 21.44. And then we also do have 15 to 48, 12 to 27. So yeah, so if you're like a gamer and you can find a way to take advantage of these, this FPS boost and, just the performance. But for me, my take is that most people are playing like PUBG, which I'll show you guys, you can still play at 120 frames on the S23 Plus. They're playing Call of Duty, you can still play at really great settings. I think the settings are almost identical. Maybe down the road, right? Maybe down the road, it'll change. But for right now, it's the same thing, right? And I'll show you guys your general, app loading here is roughly the same. It's going to get into apps the same. And the S23 Plus, again, it's not like it's lagging all over the place or anything like that. It's a very smooth phone. Let's try. So you guys can see it's not like an actual huge difference here. It's very similar. Alright, so as you guys can see here, they feel exactly the same in PUBG. You can play at 120 frames still on the S23 Plus. And yeah, there's no difference. I don't have any heating problems with the S23 Plus. I would say even for power users, I don't think this is a good upgrade unless you can find a way to take advantage of the CPU GPU upgrade. because what most people do is they're like playing PUBG, Call of Duty, Genshin, which runs still really well on the S23 Plus. So it makes no sense to upgrade, you know, as far as like, you know, being a power user here, because I don't think you're going to get much benefit. Let's check out these speakers at max volume. We'll start with the S23. I'm going to actually say there is no upgrade here. The S23 Plus sounds identical to the S25 in terms of bass, clarity. They sound exactly the same, so there's no real upgrade in the speaker department. And let's go ahead and talk about the AI stuff. So the AI stuff is here on the S25. You do have like the Galaxy AI stuff if you want to use it. Most of the stuff is really here. Like I said, you'll get more stuff when the UI 7 update comes. Circular search is here, and you know, it'll have that Gemini button on the side as well too. So yeah, so I would say do not upgrade if you're expecting like more Galaxy AI features. You still have the same features. And yeah, there's not a whole bunch here, as you guys can see throughout this video. There's not a whole bunch here to upgrade for, honestly. Let's talk about the image quality here. So the S23 Plus and the S25 Plus have basically identical camera setups for the most part. So I'm very curious to see what you guys think about the photos. So you have a 50 megapixel standard on both, a 10 megapixel telephoto on both. They both do 3 times optical. They both go up to 30 times zoom. And then you have a 12 megapixel ultra wide on both shoot in 8K 24 and 30, and they both have a 12 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. Alright, so the last question is, should you upgrade for battery life? Should you get the S25 Plus for, you know, just much better battery life? Absolutely not. If you don't have an issue with your battery life on the S23 Plus, the battery life is very good on the S23 Plus. The standby time is excellent. There's not a big battery upgrade here at all. The S25 Plus has a 4900 milliamp hour battery, so it is slightly bigger than this 4700 milliamp hour, but it doesn't really make a difference. At least for me, like personally, like there's no way there's a gigantic difference here. After using these phones, they drain the same. Even with the S23 Plus having a little bit of battery degrade, it still does a really good job. So I actually would not upgrade at all for battery life. They both have 45-watt charging and wireless and reverse wireless charging. And I would say if you do have battery life problems on your S23 Plus, it's not because this phone has bad battery life. It's because your phone might have a bit of battery degrade. You probably was charging it, you know, to 100%. If you want to keep the battery healthy, guys, charge to 80%. They have a little setting in the settings for you guys to turn on as well. But yeah, I wouldn't upgrade. If you don't have a problem with battery life, you're not going to get significantly better battery life here. So with this being said, I don't think this is an upgrade at all. Nothing about this upgrade makes any sense besides the software. You know, you're getting 7-year pledge. Maybe you want to keep the phone for a long time. Maybe you like the I just don't know how you would take advantage of this upgrade. Like even the processor, like how would you take advantage of that? So I mean, if you can come up with a reason how you could take advantage of this CPU GPU boost, then yeah, if you really want to upgrade. But I don't like the upgrade. It's not that this is a bad phone. It's just extremely minimal upgrade here.